Well, good morning, Miss Smith. Thank you for coming in. I'm glad you had time for this. So today I just kind of wanted to go over Tim's general test of achievement, his scores, his bell curve as well, and just some ideas as well as his e-portfolio of all of his work that we have collected over the year. And did you have any questions about the test?
Yes, I was a little confused about what all of these test scores mean and who Tim's being compared to.
Yes, Amy, it's confusing and there's a lot. So I'll start by just pointing out, so this is going to be like the demographics. So we have his name, me, the teacher, the district, the school that he's at. We also have his grade, 3rd grade, and then the date that the test was taken, which is really crucial just so we know where these scores are from, and it was in March. And then we have his student ID in the form, and that's also important just so we know we're looking at the right thing. You know, it'd be embarrassing if I'm in here telling you someone else. So that was just all that. And then up at the top we're going to have the norm, and then at the bottom we're going to have the criteriation scores. So that's just going to be kind of the rundown. And then we also have the percentile bands, and these are going to be broken up into subtests. So I know that's a lot to take in at once, so don't worry, we're going to slow down and we'll go into all of it detailed. So I just want to let you know that the purpose of this test is just so we can adjust strategies and curriculum as a teacher to ensure that I'm doing my job as well as Tim is successful. And so it's not going to be a pass or fail kind of test. It's just like a general, our strategies of teaching as a school being effective compared to the nation.
Okay, so what does this norm reference mean?
Okay, so right here, this is going to be the norm reference part, and it's just going to mean that this test was given across the nation to students before it was released, and it's just in order to create an average score to compare our students to. And then right down here is the criteriation reference information, and this portion is kind of just breaking the subtest down more into the content areas, so like the structural analysis, phonemic awareness, we have number facts, measurement, just all the individual things that we're learning about in there. And it's just very important because as a teacher, I can see where Tim is performing well and where he might need a little extra help or some more scaffolding in his learning. And did you have any more questions, or is that kind of...
Well, I was curious. I was looking at some of the different breakdowns, and I noticed basic battery and complete battery. What are those?
Oh, yes, ma'am. Good question. I forgot to mention that. So the basic battery is just going to be a score that's only focused on Tim's reading and math.
Okay.
And then the complete battery score is going to be his overall score of the entire test.
Oh, okay.
And the reason that this one's just more like broken down into reading and math is just because of how big of a part that plays. And we don't want to say that science social studies aren't important, but it's just reading and math plays such a vital part because, you know, you use that in every subject kind of.
Right. Okay. That makes more sense.
So if you don't have any more questions, I'm going to just kind of begin looking over his scores and getting more into it. And if I'm moving too quickly or you have any questions, don't hesitate.
Okay.
So we'll begin with the norm reference information, and that's going to be again at the top part. And so for reading, he has a total number of 108 items, and I know that sounds overwhelming, but this was taken over a course of a couple days, so it's not like he sat down and had to do all 108 at a time or anything. And Tim got a raw score of 83 on this, so compared to the nation, he's in the 53rd percentile, so he's like in the 53rd.
A 53 on the test?
No, ma'am, no, ma'am. So let me go ahead over here into the bell curve, and this will kind of ease your mind. Don't worry. It just means the percentile that he was in. And if you look on the graph, we're able to use the norm information, so that was the top part of what we were just looking at.
Okay.
And you'll see that Tim scored very well. So he's within the average of where he should be. He's right on point, so he's in this middle part, which is really, really good. And we can also look at the percentile bands that were over here, and you can see that he's right in between like the 50 and 56, and that's just saying that it's kind of accounting for any error that could have happened that day. So it's like the standard error measurement that would be in the percentile bands, and it's just saying, let's say Tim was sick that day, he got here late, he had anxiety the night before, so he didn't sleep well, he's tired, all the factors that could play a part. And I can go back over here actually because I got my notes out, and I can look, and it doesn't look like I have any notes about Tim not feeling well that day, which is really, really good. So hopefully these are a pretty accurate representation of Tim's performance.
Okay.
And then if we want to look a little more into the criteriation reference information. That's going to be the RS that's noted right here, and that's just standing for raw score. And then the NP is going to be the number of possible outcomes that he could have got right. And so if we look right over here, we're going to see over on sentence structure under language that he got a raw score of 10, and the number of possible points that he could have gotten was 10. So he's very high in that, which is awesome. You know, he's doing great there. And then if we want to look over into procedures, it looks like he got a raw score of 8, and the number possible that he could have got is 12. So he's a little low there, but that's fine, you know, it happens. And then it looks like in measurement he also got a raw score of 5, and the number possible that he could have got correct was 8. So a little low there, but not to worry, because if we come over to listening.
Can you explain these in a little more detail, like what type of questions these are?
Oh, yes, ma'am. Okay, so there were 8 questions right here for the number facts. And then it was making it easy for his score to go down because he only missed a couple. Oh, I messed that up. So like I said, Tim was 10 out of 10, so it's perfect score there, which is awesome. So if you just want to move on over into the measurement. So Tim got a raw score of 5, but there were only 8 questions that he could have possibly gotten right. So he is kind of in the lower region for that, but not to worry at all, because I don't really feel like that's like an accurate representation of him. Just because there were so few questions, if he just missed a couple, it really brought his score down. And then under procedures for number facts, he did get 8 out of the 12 that he could have got right, so it's still a little bit low as well. And it's nothing to worry about, like I said, because I could even show you over here in his e-profile. These aren't really reflections of his overall work.
Okay.
And is it also making sense to you?
Well, I did notice him having some trouble at home with his number facts. Is there any tools that you have that might help him out a little?
Yes, ma'am. So for the number facts, I was going to tell you that we can go and I can show you a few sources online right over here.
Okay.
And if I was you, I would it's kind of still fun because it's online. I know it's like screen time, but it is a good way so they don't realize that they're just doing math. Like that, it can be fun. You know, it's always great to strengthen skills outside. And then I was going to recommend as well, because his measurement was a little bit low, like maybe when you're cooking in the kitchen, y'all can make cookies, have him help make dinner, anything, you know, have him pour the water in the bathtub, you know, whatever it works for y'all. So that's just little pointers.
Yeah, we can definitely work on those.
Okay, but I do want to point out some of his high points. So if we come over here to listening under vocabulary, he got a raw score of 16, and there was 18 questions possible that he could have got right. And so that's very high, which is awesome. And then if you come over here to spelling, and we look at his structural principles, he got 10 out of 11 correct. So that also put him very high. And then lastly, we want to look over in science. In his life science, he got 7 out of 7. So again, a perfect score. So by all means, he's doing awesome.
That's great. Yeah, he really loves science.
So that, I mean, we're proud of him. We're proud of how he's working. And so I guess now that we've kind of covered all of the information, I know it was a lot. Do you have any other questions that I could help clear or ease your mind with?
No, I just want to thank you for taking the time to go over this with me. I really appreciate it. I now have a much better understanding of what this test meant.
Yes, ma'am, of course, and I want to thank you as well for coming in. I know you're busy, you have a hectic schedule, you know, running around everywhere. But I do want to go ahead and just remind you that, again, this was taken in March, so this is just a snapshot of Tim's scores. It's not like a pass or fail. It's just a good idea, as I said before, for us to see where he's at compared to the nation and what we can do better. And then I did want to go ahead and give you this packet, and it has all of the online portals that I mentioned, and then a copy of the bell curve and the general test of achievement, his scores. And then, like I said, like, never hesitate to email me. I'm here to help. Let me know how everything's going.
Well, thank you.
Of course.